Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Now, with all of the recent killings of black people, especially innocent black people, a lot of people have questions. A lot of people want to know, how is it that cops can get away with this? Why is it that so many cops are getting away with killing black people and just, getting their jobs back and getting reinstated back onto the force? And what's going on? And one of the things I want to show to you and prove to you in this video, first of all, that the police, the government, they have the legal right to basically really kill you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, they basically own you. Now, I know that sounds crazy because a lot of people are going to say, well, it's a lot of people who sued the government or sued the police force and won cases. I'm going to explain that later. First of all, you should know something. Black people are not citizens of America. Black people are citizens of the United States of America. There are two separate things, and I'm going to explain how and why later too. But first, to get into this whole thing, we have to go back to 1856 to the Dred Scott case. Now, Dred Scott was a slave. He was suing his master, Sanford, for the freedom of himself, his wife, and his two kids. Now, Dred Scott felt like he was a citizen and his master is a citizen, therefore they both should be provided equal protection under the law. Now, this case went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled that he is not considered a citizen under the Constitution, because the Constitution considers a citizen a sovereign. People of the United States of America is the same as a citizen, and those people are called sovereigns, and sovereigns are white people. And he, being a black slave who was, his ancestors was brought to America, that he's not considered a citizen of America. So he lost that case. Now, the Supreme Court ruled that black people are considered inferior, subordinate beings and are subject to the laws and rules of the government, whether emancipated or not. Remember that. And we have no rights or privileges according to the Constitution. And you got to remember, right before that, in 1776, what happened? You had the Declaration of Independence was passed, and this is where America gained its independence from King George III. Now remember, in 1776, we were still slaves, so it didn't apply to us. So we still celebrate 4th of July today, and really that day didn't apply to black people. Now, what happened in 1788, we had the U.S. Constitution was ratified. And the U.S. Constitution basically was ratified, and it was to replace the Articles of Confederation. Now, if you go to the U.S. Constitution, if you look at Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8, it says, no title or nobility is to be granted by the U.S. government or United States of America, meaning you can't make nobody a king. We just got away from a king, and we don't want to be making no more kings. And it basically said that all the people in America are the same. They are sovereign. So what happened? Okay, we know Lincoln freed the slaves. That's what everybody say. Well, of course we citizens, we free. Lincoln freed the slaves. Okay, so 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation went into effect. Now, what went into effect in 1862 on September 22nd, but the war was still going on and the Confederates didn't surrender. Well, it was a clause in there saying that it will go into effect January 1st, 1863. So really, 1863, January 1st is really Black Independence Day. I know we celebrate New Year's that day, but that's really the day we should celebrate Black independence, because that was the day that we got free. Now, Emancipation Proclamation. What is emancipation? To be emancipated means to basically be set free. You can go. It doesn't say the free proclamation, it means emancipation. You can leave, basically what it means. So think about it like this. Think about an emancipated minor. Now, an emancipated minor can leave his parents' home and go out into the world and fend for itself. But if that minor chooses to stay in his parents' house, guess what? He has to abide by the rules of his parents, meaning curfew, chores, can't bring that chick home at a certain time, all that. So apply that to us. The simple fact that we stayed in America and did not go back to Africa, we were subject to all the laws and rules of the government. Gets deeper though. Okay, so it was the 13th Amendment that basically abolish slavery. So when you look at the 13th Amendment, now you can't see it down there, but when you look at it, you have to really, it's not much. You basically have two sections, section 1, section 2. It was very, very straightforward, but filled with a bunch of things. Now, it says, neither slave nor involuntary servitude. Come on, man. This is legal words. Slavery or involuntary servitude. Involuntary servitude is slavery. Same thing. But they put that there for a reason. Okay, let me keep going. Except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. These are all legal terms. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Now you have to understand that the Constitution is a legal document, meaning it is written in legalese. Legalese is a language. So when a lawyer speaks to another lawyer and they speak to a judge, they are speaking a different language called legalese. The reason you hire a lawyer is because you don't speak legalese. So you hire a lawyer and you are saying to the judge and to the court, hey, I don't speak this language, so here is my lawyer to interpret it for me. That's why they call lawyers a mouthpiece, because he's going to speak for you. Now, the lawyer and the lawyers are going to speak this language, and you're going to sit back and you're going to, find out what happens later on. Now, the simple fact that they wrote this the way they wrote it because they don't want people to be able to interpret it legally. Now, you have to be a person who speaks legalese to really get what's in this document. Now, this is my LSAT score. For law school, I got a 167. A 180 is the highest you can get. So yeah, I speak legalese, and I'm not showing this to brag. I'm just showing this to let people know that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the law, and I know how to read the law. So I don't want people thinking that I'm just interpreting this video or the Constitution any way I want to. I want you to understand that I know what I'm saying. I know how to read this language. Now, skip all that. The simple fact that, well, first of all, the 13th Amendment basically is telling you that it's legal for them to put you in jail and to make you work like a slave for no money. So that's what it says. It's telling you that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. So it's basically saying if you have been convicted of a crime, they can legally make you a slave in jail. So they can involuntarily make you serve them or do anything. This is the 13th Amendment. That's what it's saying. But as it applies to us, where it says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude. Now, as I said before, that is the same thing to the lay person. Slavery, involuntary servitude, same two things. But legally, you have to understand when you're reading contracts and you see something like that, be prepared for something. So what's next in the Constitution? You have the 14th Amendment. So 14th Amendment should address why it says slavery nor involuntary servitude. Now the 14th Amendment is dealing with citizenship. Now when you take a look at the 14th Amendment, it's a lot. It's paragraphs. The 13th Amendment was only about 4 lines. Now, the 14th Amendment is the most debated, part of the Constitution because it's misinterpreted a lot. But when you get to the part, to just the beginning of it, it says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Now, that's going to confuse a lot of people. But this is the thing, you have to really pay attention to the first part. It says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States. Okay, so if you're born here, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Period, point blank, end of it. Now, that's like me saying, I will give you this $1 if you pick up this cup and you put it down. So you have to pick it up and put it down to get this $1. So you have to be born in the U.S. and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. What does that mean? Okay, so first you got to understand something. When the slaves were set free, there was a big debate whether or not to give the free slaves the same sovereignty or make them the same level as white people. Now, 2 states agreed to do so, Pennsylvania and New York. Everybody else was against it. Now, they had a debate whether or not to do this, and if we wasn't going to do this, what are we going to do with the people who choose to stay in America? So, like the Constitution says, in order for you to be a citizen, you had to become subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. So that's what they did. In exchange for black people being citizens in the United States, they gave up their freedom, again, to become subjects to the jurisdiction of the United States. Now, yeah, that didn't sound so bad back then because they gave it probably like a fancy name like civil rights, something like that, and got them back in there and said, well, you're going to be free like everybody else. You're just subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. Now, a lot of people are going to say, you might not believe what I'm saying or what I'm telling you, but you can do the research on your own. But you need to think about something. If black people were the same or had the same rules and rights as white people, how come Dr. King had to march for civil rights? How come we couldn't vote in the 60s if we were the same as white people? We were the same kind of citizen as a white person. Why couldn't we vote? Why we had to go through integration and all that bullcrap? It's because it's different. Now, believe it or not, this whole thing applies to white people as well. And in the time around the 60s, white people were also subject. They were no longer sovereigns. They became subject, just like black people, to the jurisdiction of the United States. And I'm going to tell you how that happened. And before I get into all that, it's something that's very important that you need to understand. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, they do not give a person rights. They only list the rights that a person already has. So the Constitution and the Bill of Rights are basically for the government. They tell the government how to deal with the sovereign person. It doesn't give you rights or give you laws or rules. You already have rights. You are born with certain unalienable rights endowed to you by the Creator. So the forefathers basically said, hey, can't nobody make you do anything for real, because we all on the same par. The Creator created us all, and he didn't create one man over another. So you are born free, period, point blank. Now, the only way you can get a person to become subject to you is to do it legally, and to get them to legally sign their self over to you, which is what they did with black people and the free black slaves. They legally got them to sign their freedom over to the U.S. government in exchange for benefits and privileges. You have no rights. You only have benefits and privileges. And they later got white people to do the same, and I'm going to explain how later. Now, it's something else you need to know about the 14th Amendment. Now, a lot of people always ask the question, how come black people didn't get reparations for slavery? The Jews got reparations for the Holocaust, the Indians they don't have to pay no taxes, but black people, we were enslaved for over 1,200 years and we get nothing. How come? Now, when you read the 14th Amendment, Article 4, it basically tells you a few things. 1, you cannot question the national debt. Period, point blank. You can't question us being in debt. 2nd, if you lead any kind of rebellion against the government and you have destruction of property, or they blow up your house or anything like that, they don't have to pay you back for that. But it also says that they are not obligated, or they do not have to pay any money for loss of emancipation. So to any slave. So basically, if you were a slave and you want money incurred for all those years of slavery, they don't have to pay it because you are now subject to their jurisdiction, and they don't have to pay you one dime. So that's it's in the Constitution for you people who think we should get reparations. And a lot of people tiptoe around that, but the Constitution says it, but nobody wants to come out and publicly admit it, even though it says it right there in the 14th Amendment. It's basically telling you we're not going to get no money for reparations just because we are so-called U.S. citizens. But also, that's not the part I wanted you to know. Deeper than that, when you become subject to the jurisdiction of the government, you have to realize one thing. If you were not naturalized in America, then you are not subject to you do not have all of the privileges and rights of a normal citizen. So once you become subject to the jurisdiction of the government, the Bill of Rights basically does not apply to you. So the government does not have to uphold the Bill of Rights to you. Now, the main two articles of the Bill of Rights they don't abide by, and you'll notice, is Article 9 and 10. Now, Article 9 has to do with common law. Article 10 is basically what this video is about, and I want you to listen carefully. Now, Article 10 says, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. Okay, so remember, as I said earlier, the Bill of Rights and the Constitution is for the government. It's instructions or rules for the government to use to deal with citizens. So the government is not supposed to impose excessive fines or bail, and they are not supposed to inflict cruel and unusual behavior on its citizens. So that should tell you right there. Do they impose excessive bail? Of course they do. Do they impose excessive fines? Of course they do. Do they inflict cruel and unusual punishment on the citizens? Of course they do. So, what does that tell you? It tells you that we are not citizens. You are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. You're not a citizen. You are a subject. How did that happen? Now, as I said in the beginning of this video, you have America and you have the United States of America, and that they are two separate things. Now, America went from being the country to America, the corporation, in 1871. Why did they do that? They did that because, as I said earlier, all the people were sovereign, they were free. Free people, meaning these little statutes and codes and titles and articles that they inflict on people did not apply to the sovereign person, only to people who are subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S. government. Sovereign people were not. So how do you get people to become subject to you? You have to do it legally. Now, legally, a corporation can only deal with a corporation in the court of law, period, point blank. So basically, no corporation can take a regular person to court. I know you would say, well, that's crazy. They do it all the time. That's because you, once you became or agreed to become represented by the corporation of the United States of America, you yourself are now a corporation. Like when you go to work and you put on that Burger King hat, you represent Burger King. When you at work, you represent that company, and if you do something outside of that company, they're gonna fire you or suspend you or whatever. Now that you are a citizen of the corporation of the United States of America, you represent that corporation as a corporation. So any other corporation like Walmart, Target, or whoever the hell they may be, can deal with you legally in court as a corporation because you represent the corporation of the United States. If you were a sovereign, they could not take you to court, period, point blank. So as I've shown all of this in my other video that people don't watch because they don't give a shit, but the only way you can tell a difference is by your name. As I said, you go look at any bill, look at your driver's license, look at your birth certificate, social security card. Your name will always be in all capital letters, period, point blank. Any bill that you get, anything having to do with money, your name will always be in capital letters. That's how they separate the sovereign regular you, that person you was when you got emancipated before you got subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. That's how they separate that person from the person who is subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. Okay, so we know black people gave up their freedom to become subjects of the United States, but what happened to white people? And you gotta remember, black people gave up their freedom to become subjects or citizens, it's the same thing, of the United States in exchange for benefits and privileges. Now, during the Great Depression, what happened? People were losing their homes, they were starving to death, and they needed help. Now, as a sovereign, the government really does not have too much obligation to help you out. You are a free person, you are on your own. You got to do what you want to do, what you got to do. But in order for you to get the privileges and benefits from the government, you have to become subject to their jurisdiction. So they got a lot of white people back then to become subjects. So they filled out that UCC 3 status change and changed their status. Unbeknownst to them, they changed their status from a sovereign free person to under the jurisdiction of the U.S. government. Now, you gotta go back to those old westerns. So I said this in my last video. Go back to the old western movies and you'll see the cowboys. You see the cowboys getting a crazy bar fight, they punching each other, because it's in the 1800s. They knock each other out, big bar fight happened. But the cops don't come in and arrest everybody and send everybody to jail. Same thing in the street. They have a duel, pull the gun out, pull, kill other guy, no cops come. That guy dies in the street, bunch of witnesses, the killer does not go to jail. Why? Because they were sovereign free men. Now, in 1871, and after that, when people filled out that form and gave away their freedom to become under the jurisdiction of the U.S. federal government, they gave up their freedom unbeknownst to them. And now today, what you basically have is a bunch of people who think they are free, who believe the Constitution exists, which is why when you say in the courtroom, I have constitutional rights, they hold you in contempt. There is no such thing. The Constitution is done. It only applies to the old America, not the corporation. This is the corporation of the United States. What do corporations have? They have a president and a vice president and a treasury and a secretary and all that. Same stuff like we had. It's set up like a corporation. Right in front of your face, but you don't want to see it because they're giving you so much bullshit to make you not see it. Sports and music videos and everything to keep you dumb and stupid and not realizing that you are a slave and have been a slave for a long time, well, your whole life, basically, if you're watching this, and you have no clue. Now, when a person sues the police force or sues a police officer or something like that, or they sue the government and it goes to court, you have to realize they can do that because, of course, you are considered a corporation and you can take another corporation to court and sue them. It's the law, it's how it goes. But what really happens there? Yeah, you take them to court, you might win a case, but a lot of those cases are settled out of court because they don't want you or want people to know what's going on. So they'll just settle that case out, so they don't want to draw a lot of attention and let people be aware that you can take these corporations to court as well if they do anything wrong to you. But, I mean, be real with yourself. What's going to happen? Let's say you do take them to court and you do win. Yeah, you won, you get some money, and then you pay taxes on that money. You pay your lawyer, you got some money left over, but then what? You're not free. You come back out, you're still part of their system, you still got to abide by their laws, you're still under their jurisdiction. So yeah, go ahead, take them to court. It doesn't matter. When it's all said and done, you're still a slave. They still own you. Now, in 1935, the Social Security Act was passed. And what that basically did was force everybody born in America to have a Social Security number, birth certificate, which puts you under the jurisdiction of the federal government. So you are born into slavery. Now, one of the reasons why they want you to have this Social Security card and birth certificate has to do with the money system, but I did a whole video about that and the money system. So if you want to know about that, go back and watch that video. But to go back to the original point about them killing so many black people, if you are subject to their jurisdiction, they own you, you have no rights at all. That's the first thing you need to understand. There is no constitution. It's gone. The simple fact that the president is passing executive orders tells you there is no constitution. They just keep bringing it up. Obviously, as I've shown you, the Bill of Rights tells you that no excessive fines or levies, no excessive bails. We know they are given these. No excessive force supposed to be used. You're not supposed to be using cruel and unusual punishment. Shooting an innocent teenager multiple times is cruel and unusual punishment. Period, point blank. Beating a person, forcing them to the ground while a dog attacks them is cruel and unusual punishment. This is not a black-white thing. Y'all people getting caught up. Y'all letting them twist y'all around into this whole black-white thing when we are all in the same boat. Period. We are all under this. Black, white, it don't matter. The reason why they treat black people separately is because we treat ourselves like shit. Period. Y'all falling for every dumb thing that they give you. You don't respect yourself at all. Women shaking their ass all in front of the camera, and men, y'all trying to impress men more than y'all impress women. I mean, it's crazy. So while y'all just putting up all these videos and promoting violence and promoting all this craziness, they looking at this shit saying these black people is crazy. Do you think that these white people are crying for y'all? When one of these black people get killed, they like, nah, he probably deserved it. That's how these white people looking at it. They laughing at us. They mock us and mimic us because y'all sit up there and y'all post all these fight videos, all these stupid videos of us destroying each other. And then when something happens, y'all sit there and wonder why the cops did what they did, or wonder why things are the way that it is, when it's y'all. You contributing to the violence. And it's just the fact, whether you like it or not. What I'm saying is the truth. So TV, mainstream media, and social media is destroying the image of the black person, destroying the image of the black woman and the black man, and y'all helping them do it. WorldStarHipHop.com is destroying black people. It's a mockery. And then all that happened is you got these young black men and women who make sure they get in fights and that it gets recorded so it can get uploaded to WorldStar so they can be famous, so they can get some kind of fame. This is what our people are about. Like, this is all we are supposed to be. We are just fights and ass shaking. What is this? And y'all expect somebody to respect you? You think these people gonna respect you? No, they laying y'all down. And ain't nobody crying for y'all but y'all. Because y'all wanna be cool or wanna impress somebody. I don't understand the thinking behind this. We are looked at as a joke. They laughing at us, and y'all just still tap dancing, thinking y'all putting on the show, and they fucking laughing at y'all, sitting up there right in front of the camera. What would make a woman contemplate setting up a camera to shake her ass in front of the camera and then say, I want respect from a man? What is that? Y'all need to wake up and realize this shit is a setup. Period, point blank, it's a setup. It was a letter that surfaced not too long ago from a music executive from Europe who said he worked for a major media corporation or a major record label, and he attended a meeting. Now basically at this meeting they were talking about using hip hop as a way to fill prisons. So they said they want these executives to promote gangster rap and promote criminal activity in hip hop music. And their owners, the owners of these major record labels, had stock in these prisons. So they had to keep these prisons full. So hip hop music increased far as the level of criminal activity. You notice we went from talking about something positive, Grandmaster Flash and all them, to talking about killing gangsters, shoot 'em up, bang bang and all that, promoting violence. And look how the murder rate skyrocketed and the crime rate skyrocketed. And all these corporations, I want you to take a look at some of these corporations who have stock in these private prisons. The Geo Group and CCA are the two largest private prison corporations in America. So you need to ask yourself something straight up. Why would somebody like Bill Gates and these rich billionaire people invest in a private prison if they did not know, or they wasn't guaranteed that these private prisons will be filled with prisoners? Who listens to hip hop music? Black people. White people do too, but they want it specifically black people. So if you want to understand what's going on and why all these black people are getting arrested, shot, and killed, one, they want to keep their private prisons full and put you in there. 70% of the inmates in prison in America are black African American men and women, and that's a fact. So while y'all think y'all doing something, posting these videos, being selfish because you want to get a like or a comment, you are destroying your people, and that's a fact. Seriously, you are not, to me, like you can't consider yourself a positive black person if you're gonna post this filth, because that's what it is. This is not the way we should be portraying ourselves to the world when we are in such a low state as a people. I was in London and I noticed First 48, Lock Up, Love and Basketball, all that stuff. That stuff comes on TV, and these people seeing this stuff. Then I come to Sweden. I'm in Sweden, and I notice First 48, Lock Up, talking about all this black on black crime, all these shows about gang violence, black people. They are destroying the image of black people on television. And I got people asking me questions when I got here, like, what's going on in the hood over there? Why so many black people killing each other? Now, of course, us being from where we're from, we know the reason. We know the system is corrupt and it's set up, but we ain't really helping it too much. We are aiding them. What is being done to us has been set up to be done to us. It has been going on for a long time, and y'all falling into it. Now, yeah, you can call me a hypocrite. I was in the music industry. One of my goals and dreams was to be a major player in the music industry. I own my own recording studio. I went around, I did a lot of stuff. I worked with Sony, I worked with major labels, yeah. But I gave that all up because I care more about the progression of my people than the selfish need I have to become somebody famous or popular in the music industry. I don't give a shit about none of that, because my eyes has been awakened. As corny as it may sound to some of you, but I have woken up and seen what the hell has been going on and what they trying to do. I'm an educated black man. I love to read, I love to study. But I'm using that now to wake y'all up and make y'all realize, hopefully you realize what is going on, and that you take steps to fix it, because it's not going to fix itself. They have changed your minds and made you not care about your life, not care about your future or the future of your people. Everything is a me society, and all black people want to do is get rich so they can shit on the poor people, which is why all these rap stars and celebrities are riding around in their Bentleys and Benz and saying, nah, come get this, look what I got. And all you do is try to pursue that because you want what they got, when there's other ways to get it. It's destroying us, and y'all need to wake up and see that. And I hope this video answered a lot of questions. I know a lot of people probably got some, but as I always say in my videos, you can inbox me, send me a message, any questions you got or concerns, and just, hit me up anytime. And thanks for watching this video, and I hope you understand how serious this is and why things are the way they are. And hopefully you have waken up a little bit. Thanks for watching.